and welcome back to another episode of Life After Kids with Doctors Brooke and Lynn. I'm Dr. Brooke.
And I'm Dr. Lynn.
Thank you so much for joining us today, ladies. We're so glad you're here. I absolutely love what we're talking about today.
Me too. We are talking about the importance of our furry friends, our fur babies, our pets that we have in our lives.
Maybe some people have pets that aren't furry.
They could, like chickens or
lizards. Which sounds like really weird, but there are like those what are they called? My son Anthony had one. The dragons? The
Komodo dragons?
No.
Bearded dragons?
Bearded dragons. And there are people, probably not many of our listeners, but I know there are people like those lizards can become like pets. Like they'll sit on your shoulder and they hang out with you. And
have you seen the chameleons on the internet?
No.
The baby chameleon. Oh my goodness, they're so cute. They're like this big.
Yeah.
Almost as pets too.
See, you could have.
We're really getting off on a tangent.
I didn't think about chickens. That's it. Well, I always do that.
Chickens aren't furry, but
also,
they have
why
feathers.
am I thinking so much? Anyway, chickens. People get attached to their chickens too.
Okay. Let's talk about what we're supposed to be talking about.
Well, we're talking about. You said furry friends, and yes, we're talking about furry friends. But I think beyond that, what we really want to get across is how important connection is in this phase of life. We talk about it all the time. And the connection you can get from owning a pet or an animal that you love.
Yes. We're not here to convince anybody to adopt a dog, but we are here to convince you to adopt a dog.
Sorry, not sorry.
I know. We talk a lot about passions in life after kids, and one of the keys to your passions, right, in determining what's next and finding more purpose is the things that tug at your heartstrings, right? Sure. The things that make you cry when you see and hear about them, the hardships, I guess, that would go on, whether that would be children or maybe you're really passionate about saving people from sex trafficking or whatever it is. I very deeply care about all those issues, but I have an extra spot in my passion center, I guess, for helping dogs.
Yes.
And cats too. I love actually all
animals in general.
Animals in general.
You have told me this multiple times, and I think you've said this on a podcast about how, like, you could watch a movie with war and people getting slaughtered, but kill an animal and forget it. You're out of here.
Goodness. There's been a couple of shows, Game of Thrones for one, and House of Cards, both highly recommended shows by people we trust and know. And Yellowstone, in the very first episode, if an animal gets hurt,
of course. I
am out.
Yeah, no, I know. And did you watch Old Yeller when you were growing up? Because
no. That's probably what did it to me. I mean,
why did people let us watch that? I would not want my kids to watch that.
That's like a horror movie today. In some ways, we've really gotten like, our movies are really, we say they're worse, but there's so much more vanilla, I guess, and like dialed down because that was rough.
And Old Yeller was like a kid's movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is a rough. Do you remember we're getting off on a tangent.
Where the red ferns grow? Did you ever see that?
I don't know if I watched it, but I read that book. Heartbreaking. Do you remember the Friends episode where Phoebe was like, her mom never let her know? She's like, oh yeah, what do you mean? They live happily ever after because her mom would turn off the movie before it ended.
Yes, I do.
Anyway. That's what we're talking about.
Yes. So not just, good for your heart and for your feelings. Actually, having a pet is good for your health.
Yes, talk about that. I love it.
74% of pet owners say owning a pet improves their mental health. I mean, you can't see these guys, but we've got two big English cream retrievers lying here. And they're so snuggly and warm. I'm sure you get, lay on them.
I do. I could tell you a story like if you're on. So some of you are probably going to turn this off because you're not animal people, and that's okay. We love you too, sort of. No, just kidding. We love you too. To each their own. Like some of us are not.
Don't turn it off.
That's
okay.
Give
it a chance. Hear it out.
Yeah, but hear us out. But for those of you that are on the fence of thinking about getting an animal or a pet, or like you're feeling really lonely because your kids have grown up and have either left the house or thinking of leaving. I'm here to tell you that's where I'm hoping that we would talk. the benefit, and I still have AJ, right? The next couple years, and my kids come in and out of the house with college, but these dogs, when I came home from dropping my first son off at school, I think I shared this story with you. I don't know if I've shared it with all of you, but when I came home from dropping Anthony off 2 years ago at school, or whatever, year and a half, 2 years, everybody told me that the drive home would be the worst. For me, it wasn't. I was fine on the drive home. It was opening the door and walking into the house and knowing he wasn't there. And I walked in that house, and I think all the pent up emotions of the summer and just waiting for it to happen, because there's that build. Like sometimes it's even worse before you actually get to the thing. And then after it happened, walking in the door, it was like I got hit with a ton of bricks, and I had been sleeping. It wasn't that. It was just, I was emotionally exhausted. Like I feel like I couldn't put one foot in front of the other. And the reason I'm telling the story is because Bristol, one of my dogs, was laying on the couch. And Bristol is a love, but if on her, like she wants you to pet her and touch her, but she doesn't want to be like necessarily on your lap or snuggled up. But they know. Dogs inherently know. And she was laying on the couch, and I literally went and laid down on top of her, which she would usually never allow, and cashed out, fell completely asleep. And I must have slept that way right on top of that dog for a good 30 minutes. Like I was just out, and she just lay, like hearing her heartbeat and laying on her and the warmth of that. You can't, to your point, they are so good for emotional health.
Yeah, they reduce stress. I mean, they lower your blood pressure.
I know they lower your blood pressure.
They slow your heart rate. Well, it's oxytocin. So we talk about the two sides of your nervous system, the gas pedal and the brake.
Yep.
And when you're in fight or flight, so coming off of that experience with Anthony and all the stress and the buildup, like you said, you were in a place of where you had more cortisol, which is that hormone that is our stress hormone, coursing through your body. And when you spend time with pets, they are going to help release that oxytocin. It's the same thing if you hug your husband or your child for more than 6 seconds.
Yeah.
You give them a really good squeeze or a kiss or just a massage or just physical touch will do that.
Yeah.
Or just being in the presence. We did a whole podcast just on oxytocin, but oxytocin is the love hormone. So you can get a release of that from your pets, and that blankets cortisol and helps switch you over into that rest and digest side of your nervous system, which is where you want to be to spend most of your time, right? So we're gonna have stressful things that happen, but we don't want to live up here and then just come down to the rest and digest briefly. We want to live in rest and digest and then have the spikes when things come at us.
Right. I'm so glad you broke that down. I was hoping you were going to go there, because it is so good to know, understand how that works. I think it makes it even more meaningful and powerful. And once again, if you're on the fence or thinking about a dog, and by the way, oxytocin, and maybe it's a cat, but I'm here for all the animals. I love all animals, except frogs. I'm scared to death of frogs, but I don't. Anyway, moving
so
on.
Cute.
No, ew.
Frogs are so cute.
They don't even serve a purpose in this life. What purpose do they serve?
They eat
other
flies.
than scaring me. Well, they can't, because there's a pond right next door and there's flies all over here.
You need more frogs.
Anyway, it's the surprise factor of a frog.
I think you're
like when you walk out and there's just one just sitting right there with its big neck looking at you. Anyway, I digress. Oxytocin is also the hormone that was released in us when we were breastfeeding our children.
Yes.
So if you remember that warm and fuzzy feeling, that's because of the oxytocin. And, our kids are grown now. We're not breastfeeding anymore. And also, they might not, don't go, whatever you're thinking, don't say it. And we can talk about that later. And anyway, and a lot of us, our kids, even if they are around, they're not as huggy as they used to be, unless they're your daughter who still wants to sit on your lap.
Once in a while, not always.
Yeah, but this really is a great way to get that that nurturing, like I think as moms that we crave so much of. It fills a gap for me.
It does. It's that connection with another living being. And to your point, they are so intelligent, right? So we have 3 dogs. We have 2 French bulldogs.
I don't know how intelligent they are.
They're highly intelligent. They just don't let on that they know what they know, especially Mabel. And then we have a rescue dog, but just, I don't make this mistake. I don't necessarily recommend it, but we started out with them sleeping with us. And honestly, there's something energetic about being in close proximity, like sleeping with your animals that bonds you in this just strange way. Like I wake up sometimes and she's just cuddled up and snuggled up to me, and it's so comforting. I can't even tell you. So especially if you are really having a hard time with your kids leaving, being older, just hard time in general, get yourself a pet, because it's the other side of that too, is it's something else to focus on. It's taking your mind off of your problems, your situation.
Right.
And we've talked about how helpful that is before, just getting outside of whatever it is that you're dealing with to think about another living being. That in and of itself can stimulate you to get out of a hard spot.
Yeah, and if you are wired as a caretaker, and most of us as moms, we've been doing it for so long, it almost becomes inherent in us anyway. That's part of the thing, I think, in this phase of life. We've been caretaking so long, and when that starts to, slow down, there's a sense of a little bit of loss there. But like, there's nothing like seeing their cute little faces waiting for you to feed them in the morning, and like you can kind of move that caretaking if that meets a need of yours and something that you long for, to taking care of the animals, which is great. Like, oh, there's nothing better than when they're sitting there waiting for their food in the morning. It's so sweet. You don't feed your dogs, your husband does. But anyway, honestly, you are going to be, it's nice to fill that need if you want to be, for caretaking.
To feel needed.
To feel needed, and, like, wait, I'm talking to them, and they're right there in the morning. I'm always, morning, my girls. Anyway. And also like the forced, just getting you outside and going for a walk because they need exercise. That's a key point too,
Yeah, absolutely. Pets help with our fitness. So they, kind of forced, especially I think around COVID, as many of us learned that there wasn't much else to do but walk the dogs, right?
Right.
So our dogs became used to it. And now every day at about 4:00, if they haven't had a walk by then, Journey will come up, and then, pretty soon and they know, like, they just know. It's like, okay, you want to go walkies? Yeah. And you don't even have to say the word. You could say, you want to go, just start it. And they're like, oh. But yeah, they get us out. And one of the best keys to that is often they'll eat when we eat early. And one of the best things you can do for your blood sugar to help bring it down, to help digest, is to take a short walk, even 10-minute walk right after you eat. And so it just fits in so nicely. We'll get out there at the end of our day and walk them after we've all eaten.
Right. And it's just the added bone. And also for me, like a walk, I love to walk anyway, but there's an added bonus of walking with a dog.
Totally.
For sure.
Totally. They also can, this one kind of surprised me, but I see it. These were some facts I just researched. It says that pets can increase self-esteem because it'll make you more likely to start conversations with strangers. So I think if you're like at the dog park, or if you take your dog out in public, maybe to the farmer's market or something, you're going to have more interactions with people. It's going to help foster that connection with new people too.
It's so funny or ironic that you said that, because I was just sitting here as I was thinking about other things to talk about here, because I kind of go on the fly. But I was wondering if it would be stupid for me to say it might be a great way to make friends.
Yeah.
Because
oh my gosh, when we have our dog,
everybody wants to stop and talk. It's like when you had your baby with you, right? People stop to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's right. And especially if you're going out to a dog park or you're out walking, it would probably be a good way to interact and make friends.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. That's I never thought about that, but I so see it.
Yep.
Don't forget horses. I've got here. Goats. Goats are a new thing. We talked about some animals at the top of this. Yes. Oh my goodness. These baby goats on the reels, and then they jump and they're in the house. These goats are in the house.
A goat lives in the house.
Goats. But a lot of people, where I live at least, it's not that unusual.
You mean in the Midwest or Newfoundland?
No, in the Midwest.
Yeah. that's where you live, but I wasn't sure because I can't. Well, I guess. And do they stay in the house even as they get older, or what? Like, how are you feeding them?
I don't know, but I think they're just maybe when they're babies or something. But people have, if you have a lot of land, people will get goats because they mow the grass. They eat grass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a neighbor growing up because we lived on like a dead end lane and there were only a few houses back there and there was lots of woods and lots of property, right? And our neighbors had like berry bushes and a mulberry tree. They had a huge backyard, like huge. It was so much fun to grow up. We had a tree house, like it was amazing. But he got sick of, I'm getting to a point here. He got sick of mowing all of that and he got a goat. And he would just move the goat around. Yeah. So I guess, I mean, it just depends on where you live and what you want out of,
how much work you want, I mean, chores you want, but horses, we didn't, I mean, those of you that love horses, I don't have a lot of experience with them, but I think next to dogs, they have to be some of the most amazing, majestic creatures, like so intelligent.
And I think that you can even horses connect with you even more so than dogs, from what I hear. I don't like on exactly on soul level.
Soul level.
Right. Yeah. And if you don't know, go watch Heartland.
Oh.
Which you might love or hate, but Heartland is like, if you love it, it's all about, it's a horse ranch and they're in Canada and she is a horse whisperer and works with horses that have issues and just the connections that they make with people. But that connection with the
between man and horse, it's because it goes, don't you think it's because of the generations and generations and generations of like companionship and like workmanship, and that relationship has been so important throughout the ages.
Well, and dogs too.
And woman and horse.
Right? Yeah. We've had the same, dogs are right alongside us as well. And I feel like horses maybe, I don't know enough about animals, but are probably more intelligent than dogs.
Horses?
Yeah, I wonder.
They say pigs are really intelligent. I didn't know that.
Pigs? I have friends that have had pigs as pets, like those potbelly pigs. Yeah. So maybe that's of interest to you. The movie
Babe was one of my favorites.
Oh, so good. If you are having doubts, like I think the biggest thing I hear with a pet of not why you don't want to get one in this phase of life is because you don't want to be tied down.
Yeah.
And we want to travel. It's such a pain. It's this, it's that. It's really, there are ways around that. Multiple ways. Number one, you could just start off the bat with kenneling your dog. And I don't want to say kennel. That sounds like, not like they're going somewhere that they're going to be in a cage the whole time you're gone. But there are so many like dog camps and places now that they can go and actually be with other dogs and they're exercising with other dogs and they're well cared for. That's one thing. We didn't start that early with our dogs. My dogs now, they would probably have a heart attack if I put them somewhere because they're just, they never leave home. But we have somebody that comes and stays with them when we leave. And it's not been an issue. And if you can't, like we have one of my good friends that stays but also watches the house and will do other things while we're gone. But there are college age kids that will come and stay at your house. Or if your dog is fine enough, just have somebody, you can pay somebody to come and just take them out a couple times a day. Like there are so many options that should not be what stops you. I don't think.
No. And if you have any sort of medical or emotional reason, you could also get your dog certified. I mean, there's a process for that, but it might be worth that for you. And then you can take the dog wherever you go.
Absolutely.
If you are single and you don't want to have a dog, right? But you do love animals and you do see the value in it, volunteer to be a house sitter, dog sitter, right?
That's great. Or if you have dogs, I mean, that would, even if you have your own dogs, that would still be, I didn't actually even think of that for, we talk so much about things that we can do with our lives to be more meaningful and to serve a purpose. That's because we've talked before about if you love, you really miss the babies and the caretaking you could nanny or you could help out a neighbor, but this would be you could be a dog walker. You could start.
That's a dream job for me. Put the walking part on the multiple leashes, but like just have all the dogs. Have you ever seen that meme where it says, if I win the lottery, I won't tell anybody, but there will be clues. Have you ever seen that?
No.
And it's a house like with 80 dogs. That will be me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's actually such a great point. I never thought of it till now, but if you are an animal lover, I mean, there is such a need for you, for people that are reliable, that are mature, that you know you can trust, that'll go into your
It's
home.
a great idea.
Even if it's not to watch a dog while you're away, there are people that just don't want their dogs to be home all day long while they're at work.
Yeah.
That
And
you
don't do
can
it
have-
for the money. Do it for the purpose and the love that you get to give and take. And you can get paid. So I'm just saying, like, maybe you don't need to work for that, or you don't
Right.
need the money for that.
either way,
But remember the purpose side of it.
right?
And
And you get to love on those animals
Absolutely.
and do something that you love and are passionate about. But that would be a simple. I actually, now that you're bringing this up, I had a friend in the town that I used to live in, and about my age, maybe a little bit younger. Kids were maybe a little bit younger, but anyway, the kids had gotten older, and I think she was looking for something to do with her time, and she started a little business right in town. And I mean, there's literally no overhead with that. I guess you could do marketing if you wanted to, but it was word of mouth. It spread.
so good.
And it was great, but you could build that into, you could build a little website and get going with that. I mean, that would be a great way to,
Spend your time.
yeah, to find
Loving on all the dogs and cats.
Yeah,
in the world.
absolutely.
And goats and deer and horses.
I am here for cats as well,
goldfish.
by the way. I've been trying to talk my husband and my kids into a cat. And by the way, Paige, if you ever listen to this, who's my son's girlfriend, and I know she won't. She was supposed to get me. We had a deal that last Christmas she was going to buy me a kitten, because we were like, if you buy me, not even buy me, rescue was probably what she would have done. If you bring it and show up with it at Christmas as a gift, then Anthony can't be mad and nobody else can turn it away. I'll just get to keep it. And she did it. I got to get on her and get it.
I love cats. I've
For this
never
Christmas.
had a cat, but they are actually they're really wonderful pets for this stage of life, because they do allow for more flexibility,
So there you go.
right?
And if you're concerned about the activity level of a dog and you really want the connection, a cat could be a super good option.
Yeah, those backpacks with the face for the cat.
Cats are so funny. Like, cats are so funny.
Cats are funny.
I would love to have a cat, and I know that it would probably keep my dogs in their place. Like, my dogs would be scared to death of it.
I think so. I can see that happening.
Yeah. Yeah, but cats are a great option too. We have a friend, Marilee, who has that. What's it called? A Maine Coon.
Yeah, Maine Coon.
Those are amazing too. They get to be like 40 pounds.
Yeah.
Anyway, there are so many different options. What about, so you just touched on a dog walking business or dog sitting, but what about our other friend? And I want to link her organization because
Yes.
she started a
Dog
rescue.
So they live in Puerto Rico, and if you know anything about Puerto Rico, after the
Just moved
hurricanes,
there
there's
the
a
last
lot of
couple years,
yes,
right?
there's a lot of what they call sados, which are wild dogs, and many of them need help in rescuing, and they do a lot with helping the dogs to get neutered and spayed. And we have one of their dogs, and she is honestly she absolutely captivated our hearts. They're the best dogs. If you want an active dog, they really are the best. They, when we climbed the mountain in Colorado, there was a man who was just huffing up there with his dog. Remember that? And she would be the dog to climb a mountain. I mean, they're very, very instinctual dogs, because they're not wild. They're very tame, but they are much closer to, they don't have all the years of breeding. Let's just put it that way, to kind of interfere with their dog likeness. And so they're really wonderful dogs. But yes,
She's a love. Journey is a love.
She is a love. Yeah. Yeah. We love her. And, just like any of your animals, it feels like your family wouldn't be quite the same without one of them.
Yeah.
And so I highly recommend that, especially if you, from a purpose piece, it is something you're passionate about, if it is something that makes you really feel for, like myself and Dr. Brooke, then you might want to put your money where your mouth is and give to some organizations, but even better, volunteer and do that.
Volunteer, give, start your own, or adopt one.
Or adopt one.
So many different needs there. I will link her, and I love her story, and you know it better than me because I don't know her very well, but to my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, they're from Chicago.
Yep.
And she had kids.
Yep.
Older. They moved down to Puerto Rico for various reasons, and she's passionate about animals, and she started this rescue.
The
So
husband is very.
What better story, when you're looking for your next adventure or chapter in life,
absolutely.
Right?
And I mean, she'll put videos up on Facebook where they'll take in like 10 puppies. Can you imagine? But she's just
amazing.
It's her, talk about somebody with purpose.
Right. Yeah. It's so awesome. And then we have a friend whose daughter is in high school, and part of their high school is in the spring, the kids have to do like some sort of a project or volunteering, whatever it is. And so they have flown her down to Puerto Rico, and she works in the rescue for the week, and she flies puppies back to the state that are being adopted. So it's like just full circle, like all so much love there. To help. So, but we're going to link Char's The Rescue. I'll link it in the show notes.
Yep.
Upshot Dog Rescue, because you can, when dogs are available, they can come. You could make one yours. You could adopt for sure. And also it's worth mentioning Candy as well. She has started an animal rescue that she still oversees. She's my brother's, at this point, she'll almost be his husband. They're engaged. But anyway, she's in Arizona now, but she started a huge animal sanctuary, not just for dogs, but she's got, she's got cows, she's got everything you can possibly, any animal that needs rescuing is there. It's just amazing. It's like a little farm where animals go to live their best life and live out their last days. But I'll link that sanctuary too, because it's just such a special place. Like my kids have been there. My mom goes frequently, and it's really sweet. But there's another case of, and that's not her primary work. She's doing all kinds of other things, but she's so passionate about animals and animal abuse that she started this, and it's grown into a big thing. So
love that.
Anyway, there's so many, just the possibilities when we start to just open up our minds to it for what we want to do beyond the talk about pets, but just there are so many possibilities out there and good ways to give back to the world and to help other people or animals, although I consider my dogs people in need. Right? I mean, there's just so much.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said too here, because when I do a lot of posting specifically with my dogs online, and sometimes we'll get the like, you should adopt, like there are some that get upset about us. I just want to say, to each their own. Either one is good, but just don't count in general that an animal, whether you go with a breeder or you adopt, they just do so many good things for you, I think, especially in this phase of life.
I love that. That's a perfect way to clue us up today.
Yeah. So thank you all, ladies, for being here and joining us for this conversation. What I would love to see, if you're listening to this and you have a fur baby or an animal or a bearded dragon, whatever it is that you love, take a picture and put it up in your story or in anywhere on social media and just tag us at Life Period After Kids. I would love to see that. Share it with us. You could DM it too, but it would be so fun to just get a little, because I feel like because we've talked so much about our dogs, so many of our followers and so many women in this community have animals or pets that they love to share. And like, we all are so proud of our animals, aren't we? Like I am. I love sharing pictures. I mean, we all think they're the cutest, right? Except Mabel. She has a face only a mother could love. Anyway, yeah, that would be great. I would love to see that. And if you're in the Life After Kids membership community, share your photos there. And thank you so much for joining us. Website is www.lifeafterkids.com. You can get all of our free resources there. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. I hope you have an amazing day and an even better week, and that you're loving on all those animals in your life.
Oh, that's great. Hugs to you guys.